defends his own pawn, and a big blunder.
This is so hidden, so difficult, but will Magnus Carlsen see it?
This is Madness Cabbage Patch. He's the greatest chess player of all time, and I'm going to show you two of his most disgusting moves played on his way to the Esports World Cup trophy win. His opponent was the youngster Alireza Firouzja, the king of fashion. Magnus opening with white in this first game I want to show you. Stick around for the second one. First, we're taking a look at this Catalan, named after a chess playing cat called Alan. He's great friends with Magnus, and as black you can respond with some of these tried and tested bishop moves or take on c4, but Alireza sticks the bishop here. We get this one developing, both players castle, and look at that, the king's safe. Alan is proud. This knight now spawns here and Magnus copies. He's so impressed. We finally get takes. Has he lost a clean pawn? No. The queen's going to recapture and Alireza now strikes back in the centre. Magnus now surging on by. I mean, there's more tension in the position already than a Hans Magnus Hikaru reunion. Now we see the knight hit b4, preparing to recapture the pawn, and Magnus gets tactical. Knight e5. The bishop is overloaded. Now this is home cooking, right? He hasn't come up with it on the spot. This is how the game proceeded here. Magnus could take and so on. He's got pieces here, but also his own knight is hanging. So we get takes here. Now captures on c3 and you hit the queen, so you do have to take back. No time to chuck this one in, and Alireza now saves that fantastic bishop. Magnus has got the worst structure, but he's ready to bring pieces here. Alireza, what to say? He's got 99 problems, but a bish ain't one. Now we get bishop e3, and we see the pressure getting exerted on the queen side. This queen develops, protecting. Now we see rook a b1. Pawn to c6 takes care of these threats, opens up the queen, but not anymore because Magnus takes here. Queen takes back, and would you look at Horace? Huge fan of Magnus Carlsen. They've been best friends for years. They even go to the same shearing company. Real good friends. No queen exchange today though. Horace was hoping for it. He knows Magnus knows how to grind like a grandma deep into the endgame. Alireza now sacks a pawn, but he wins it right back. This is how the game proceeded, and we get some team liquidation. Magnus playing for Team Liquid. That's that joke. Alireza's in the Team Falcons here, but he's faltering because after takes, he should probably just give the king a bit of room by pushing the pawn. But he plays Queen a3.
Defends his own pawn, and a big blunder.
This is so hidden, so difficult, but will Magnus Carlsen see it?
What's the problem here? Magnus uncorks it. Can you find the move? It's the only winning move.
The only winning move.
It's the only move?
The only winning move.
It's the only move?
The only winning move.
It's the only...
Well done if you saw. Knight to b8. What's the problem? Well, the rook's about to drop. You've interrupted the connection. So takes here is how the game went. And this is the cool point. If the queen is captured, not played, we're now in analysis mode. Well, you can give a knight, but that's stupid. So if you do this to save the checkmate, when all's said and done, you're an exchange up, one game. But even so, keeping the queens on didn't help things much. Alireza gives space. Magnus slams down anyway. Now lands the check, and after king h7, how about this for a backup? He declares whoosh as he moves that queen back. So also a bit of a whooshing check. Love it. And because of the geometry there, the queens are forced off the board. Completely one end game, of course. Magnus pushing p over there on the king side. Soon Alireza resigns. Why? Well, here's a sample line. Say you wait with black. This is how the game could proceed. You can even give back the exchange just to run through the pawns. Magnus probably knows how to win this one. Just show you a few more moves. This is a very likely sample line. Magnus taking it home. Let's jump to our second game with Alireza kicking off with the king pawn. Magnus copies. Now we see the ponies develop and bishop c4. Gucci Reza piano on the board, named after Gucci Reza himself. He is the king of fashion. He does advise other top players too. You know, Neiman's John Lennon look. Alireza was behind it. These are supposedly even Gucci goggles as well. How about that? We see the bishop now also developing there for Magnus. Pawn c3 prepares to expand. The knight gets out. d3, h6. Doesn't let Alireza do any of this stuff. And b4, Magnus can say crazy Uncle Kramnik. He gets kicked. Alireza's set up this beautiful bathtub. Bishop chilling. We even once had a picture of Alireza next to a bathtub looking like a serial killer with his Uno deck. No one actually knows what that's all about yet. We didn't quite get to the bottom of it. Now we see the expansion. Magnus about to get squashed, so he gives some room. Castles. Now we see knight b to d2, d6, h3. The bishop backs up, and we get Chewbacca's favourite move, the Wookiee one. This knight rotates, classic maneuver, and this is absolutely awesome. Knight g3, and it completes a knight box, also known as a Knox or fork Knox if you've really been playing for quite some time. It's an impregnable structure. Now we see this pawn advance, bishop b3 and d5 for the high five. Magnus equalising the game. You could take back with either one, but he goes with the knight, hits the pawn, defended by the bishop. You just don't get commentary like this elsewhere. Do consider subscribing. Sinkfield Cup starts today, but I'll have to cover the game tomorrow due to my time zones. And now we get the rook developing. Queen c2, bishop e6. This rook eyes the lady. Very uncomfortable, and bang, the explosive c4. Anytime this pawn gets pushed, something dynamite is happening. The knight comes here, and now Alireza gives up his bishop bear. Normally you want to hold on to them, right? Big asset, but it was a bit clumsy. It was blocking the rook. Now he wants to follow up with something squashing, and it's this. Trying to make this one a dead squashed bug, but Magnus ain't going to be shut down so easy. What does he play to fight back? Well, first here, so we won't do a dramatic pause. Now it's time for a dramatic pause. He plays pawn a5. Really nice chess. You know, if takes, bishop's escaping. Now, apparently best for white is to fight back with this knight activation. Looking at the weak and dark squares, I guess. But in the game, Alireza, short on time, big theme of the match, plays pawn to d4. It's a bad move. This is how the game proceeds. Rook takes on d4. Knight e6, very strong, which you only really start to understand when you see it suggested. You know, it hits the rook, but also pressures the pawn twice, and this tension will soon be resolved. But not played. Magnus goes for the exchanges. He is up in the match at this point. Now we see the rook take here. Sorry, not take here. Just move here, and now takes on b4. It slams right back. Magnus covers his backwards b pawn, and he's preparing to take on c5. Doesn't get defended by Alireza, so it got me wondering, what if queen c2? Defend the pawn simply. Keep an eye on some really key squares that the knight or rook might try and invade on. Well, then there's this. Same move I mentioned earlier, same idea. You can defend the pawn, you're all good to go, right? But no, look at what you now opened up. There's no escape square, there's back rank issues. Magnus Carlsen would be making sure that Alireza gets branked if he went for that variation. That's back ranked. So, anyway, you can't really cover the pawn is the point. So this was therefore played. Allows the bishop out. Rook e8 check is best, but then the bishop can back up here. Black remains better. Solid pawn ahead. But this was played by Alireza. And what to do at this point? There's nothing for it but to keep calm and eat some nuts. There's former world champion Ding Liren doing it with aplomb. The problem here for white is that although it looks like you're winning a piece, double hitting this. There's too many tactics related to this weakened king. Magnus finds an epic one. He plays bishop takes on f2 check. And after the king recaptures, this octopus now centralizes, and once the king goes, it can't stay with the protection of the knight. Absolutely impossible. This is how the game proceeded. Knight drops off and the king hunt is on. Rook e8 check, king h7, queen e4 check, but after the block, what to do? Alireza desperately goes for an exchange of rooks, low on time, but he simply blundered. Mate in one. Can you find the move? It's queen f2 checkmate, and that ended the game. And Magnus ultimately crushed it in the match. Wasn't really a contest. He adds another one to his collection and cements his place in the annals of chess history. Hope you loved this one. Do smash subscribe. Have a look at the video on screen for another incredible Magnus Carlsen game. And I hope to see you back for the Sinkfield Cup starting soon. Cheers.